I thought I knew my nephew Tyler. I'd watched him grow up, helped him through university, gave him his first real job. When he stood in my office 3 months ago, tears in his eyes, telling me how much the company meant to him, how he wanted to carry on the McLeod legacy, I believed every word. I signed those papers, making him part owner of McLeod Construction without hesitation. That was my first mistake. The second was not seeing it coming. It was a Tuesday afternoon when Sharon called. My company accountant for 22 years, Sharon Chen, wasn't the type to panic. Her voice was always measured, professional, calm. But that day, something was different. "Robert, I need you to come to my office right now." Her words came fast, clipped. "Don't go to the company office. Don't tell Tyler you're coming to see me. And Robert, bring your lawyer." My coffee went cold in my hand. Outside my home office window, the November rain hammered against the glass. Toronto's skyline was gray, blurred. "Sharon, what's going on?" "Not on the phone. Can you be here in 30 minutes? "I'll be there in 20. I grabbed my coat, my hands shaking slightly. In 35 years of running McLeod Construction, I'd weathered recessions, lost bids, seen competitors try to destroy me. But Sharon's voice carried something I'd never heard before. Fear. The drive to her downtown office felt like hours. My mind raced through possibilities. Tax issues? Client problems? A lawsuit we didn't see coming? Nothing made sense. We'd just finished our most profitable quarter in company history. Tyler had been sending me weekly reports. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect, as it turned out. Sharon's office was in one of those glass towers on Bay Street, the kind I'd helped build 20 years ago. Her receptionist waved me through immediately. No smile. That should have been my third warning. Sharon stood when I entered, and I saw my lawyer, David Harrison, already sitting across from her desk. 2 laptops were open, spreadsheets covering both screens. Sharon's face was pale. "Robert, sit down." David's voice was gentle. He'd been my friend since high school, my lawyer for 2 decades. We'd celebrated wins together, mourned losses. But I'd never seen him look at me with such pity. "Someone tell me what's happening." Sharon turned one of the laptops toward me. 3 weeks ago, Tyler asked me to give him access to the company's main operating account. Said you'd approved it, that you wanted him to take on more financial responsibilities as part owner. I remember. I thought it was good. Shows initiative. "Robert, in 3 weeks, he's moved $1.3 million out of that account." The room tilted. I gripped the edge of her desk. "What?" "Small amounts at first. 10,000 here, 20,000 there. Payments to vendors we've never used. Consulting fees to companies that don't exist. I started flagging them last week, but when I dug deeper, she clicked something, and another screen appeared. These companies? They're all registered to the same address. An apartment in Mississauga. Tyler and Jessica's apartment. My chest tightened. There has to be an explanation. Tyler wouldn't. There's more. David slid a folder across the desk. 2 days ago, Tyler contacted 3 of our biggest clients. He told them McLeod Construction was having financial difficulties. He suggested they switch their contracts to a new company. A company called Horizon Builders. I've never heard of them. It was registered 4 months ago, the day after you signed the partnership papers. David's finger pointed to a name on the incorporation documents. Tyler McLeod, CEO. Jessica McLeod, CFO. The words blurred. 4 months ago. That was when Tyler had stood in my office, emotional, talking about family legacy. While I'd been signing papers to make him part owner, he'd already been planning his exit, planning to gut my company from the inside. He's been stealing from me. My voice sounded distant, not my own. My nephew, my sister's son. Sharon's expression softened. "Robert, it's worse than theft. Look at this." She pulled up an email chain. "Tyler's been corresponding with Bennett Construction. You know them? Our biggest competitor. They've been trying to buy us out for years. Tyler offered to sell them our client list, our bid strategies, everything, for $2 million. The sale was supposed to go through next week. The rage started then, hot and sharp in my chest. But underneath it was something colder, grief. My sister Patricia had died 6 years ago, breast cancer. Her husband, Tyler's father, had checked out long before that, abandoning them when Tyler was 12. I'd stepped in, paid for Tyler's education, taught him the business, treated him like the son I never had. My wife Martha and I had no children. Tyler was supposed to be our legacy. How did you find all this? I asked. Sharon exchanged a glance with David. One of the shell companies Tyler created needed a registered business address. He used his home address for that one. I ran a search on it, found 6 other companies. Then I found the bank accounts. Robert, he's been planning this since before you made him partner. Maybe longer. The emotional speech in my office. The tears. That was all an act? I'm sorry. Sharon's voice cracked slightly. She'd known Tyler since he was a kid too. But Robert, if we move now, we can stop this. David has a plan. David leaned forward. The partnership agreement you signed has a clause. Any partner engaging in fraud or acting against the company's interests can be removed immediately. We file an injunction, freeze the accounts, and report the theft. Tyler will face criminal charges. He's family. He stopped being family when he stole from you. David's voice was hard. Robert, he was going to destroy you, take everything you built and leave you with nothing. And from what Sharon found, he wasn't going to stop there. Sharon clicked to another document. An email from Tyler to Jessica, dated 1 week ago. I read it slowly, each word like a knife. Once we have his client list and drain the rest of the operating account, we'll push for bankruptcy. The old man's too sentimental to fight back. We can pick up the assets for pennies and relaunch under Horizon. By spring, we'll be millionaires, and he'll be too busy mourning his failed legacy to realize what happened. The old man. That's what I was to him. Not Uncle Robert, not family, just an obstacle to his wealth. There's more. David hesitated. Tyler's been telling clients you're developing dementia, that you're not fit to run the company anymore. He's positioning himself as the responsible one, trying to save McLeod Construction from your declining mental state. A bitter laugh escaped me. That's why Johnson pulled his contract last month. I thought it was budget issues. Tyler convinced him you weren't competent to complete the project. Johnson signed with Horizon instead, Tyler's new company. I sat back, processing. My nephew had spent months systematically destroying my reputation, stealing my money, planning to bankrupt the company I'd built from nothing. And I'd handed him the keys. What do we do? My voice was steady now. The grief could come later. Right now, I needed to be the Robert McLeod who'd built a construction empire from a single truck and a dream. David smiled grimly. We showed Tyler what happens when you underestimate the old man. The plan was elegant, simple, brutal. First, we documented everything. Sharon had been meticulous, tracking every fraudulent transaction, every email, every conversation where Tyler had lied to clients. We had enough evidence to bury him in criminal charges, but David suggested something better. We let him think he's winning, David explained. Let him make his move, then we take everything. Over the next week, I played my part. I acted confused in meetings, forgot details, seemed overwhelmed by simple decisions. Tyler's confidence grew. I watched him exchange knowing glances with Jessica during our weekly management meetings. Watched him reassure our remaining staff that he was keeping things running while I transitioned into retirement. It made me sick, but it gave Sharon time to work. She contacted every single one of Tyler's shell companies, tracing the money, found accounts in the Cayman Islands, cryptocurrency wallets, property purchases in Tyler's name. My nephew hadn't just stolen from me. He'd been stealing for months, maybe years, before I'd made him partner. Small amounts I'd never notice, building his war chest. The breaking point came at our monthly board meeting. Tyler had called it early, which should have been my warning. I arrived at our office to find Tyler, Jessica, and 3 men I'd never seen before sitting in the conference room. Uncle Robert, thanks for coming. Tyler's smile was warm, practiced. These gentlemen are from Bennett Construction. I've invited them to discuss a potential merger. Merger? I sat down slowly, playing confused. I don't remember agreeing to this. We discussed it last week. You said it sounded interesting. Tyler's tone was patient, patronizing. The way you'd talk to a child or someone not quite all there. The company's been struggling, and Bennett has made a generous offer. The lead Bennett representative, a sharp-eyed man named Morrison, slid papers across the table. Mr. McLeod, we're prepared to offer $4 million for McLeod Construction. Full acquisition. You'd retire comfortably, and Tyler would stay on as regional manager. $4 million. For a company worth 10 times that, and I'd get none of it. The partnership agreement Tyler had convinced me to sign gave him control in the event of my mental incapacity or inability to manage company affairs. He'd been building this takeover for months. This seems sudden. I picked up the papers with shaking hands, playing my role. Uncle Robert, you're tired. You've earned rest. Tyler's hand on my shoulder felt like a brand. Let me handle this. Let me take care of everything. In that moment, I saw him clearly. Not my nephew, not family. Just a predator who'd been circling, waiting for the right moment to strike. I need time to think. We need an answer today. Morrison's voice was firm. The offer expires at 5 p.m. Tyler leaned in close. Uncle Robert, you're not well. Everyone can see it. Sign the papers. Make this easy. Or I'll have to take other steps. His voice dropped to a whisper. I've already talked to a lawyer about having you declared incompetent. Don't make me do that to you. Don't make me tell everyone how far gone you really are. There it was, the threat. Sign over my company, or he'd have me declared mentally unfit, lock me in some care facility, and take it anyway. I looked at Tyler's face, at Jessica, sitting beside him, her expression cold and calculating, at the Bennett representatives, already counting their profits. And I smiled. Actually, Tyler, I don't think we'll be doing that. Tyler frowned. Uncle Robert, David, you can come in now. The conference room door opened. David walked in, followed by Sharon, 2 police officers, and a representative from the Ontario Securities Commission. Tyler's face went white. Tyler McLeod, one of the officers said, you're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and theft over $5,000. Everything happened fast then. Tyler stood, knocking his chair back. What? No, this is a mistake. Uncle Robert, tell them. Sit down, Tyler. My voice was cold, steady. The confusion was gone. Sharon, show them. Sharon opened her laptop, projecting the screen onto the conference room wall. Bank statements, email chains, incorporation documents, video footage from our security cameras showing Tyler and Jessica loading boxes of client files into their car at midnight. Everything. $1.3 million embezzled over 3 weeks, Sharon said calmly, plus an additional $400,000 over the past 2 years in smaller thefts. 6 shell companies. Fraud. Conspiracy to commit fraud. Theft of proprietary information, and attempted extortion. Morrison and his colleagues were already backing toward the door. We had no knowledge of this, Morrison stammered. Tyler approached us. He said you were selling. Get out. I didn't look at them. My eyes were locked on Tyler. Jessica was crying now, real tears. Tyler, you said this would work. You promised. Shut up. Tyler's mask had cracked completely. This is ridiculous. I'm part owner. I have rights. David pulled out the partnership agreement, the one Tyler had convinced me to sign. This agreement includes a fraud clause. Any partner engaging in criminal activity or actions detrimental to the company can be removed immediately with no compensation. As of this moment, you own 0% of McLeod Construction. You can't do this. I'm family. That word, family. After everything, he still thought it meant something to him, that he could hide behind it. You stopped being family when you called me the old man, and planned to destroy everything I built. I stood, facing him across the table. You thought I was weak, sentimental, easy to manipulate. You were wrong. The officers moved forward, pulling out handcuffs. Tyler struggled, his voice rising to a shout. This is my company. I earned this. You're nothing without me. You're just a senile old man who doesn't know when to quit. Mr. McLeod, one of the officers said to me, we'll need you to come down to the station to give a formal statement. Of course. They led Tyler out, still screaming. Jessica followed, sobbing, her own arrest warrant already being processed. The conference room fell silent. David squeezed my shoulder. You okay? No, but I will be. Sharon started packing up her laptop. Robert, I'm sorry. I should have caught this sooner. You caught it in time. That's what matters. I looked at the papers scattered across the table, the merger documents Tyler had tried to force me to sign. $4 million for a $10 million company. He hadn't even tried to give me a fair deal. He really thought I was that far gone? He saw what he wanted to see, David said. A tired old man ready to be pushed aside. The police investigation took 3 weeks. Tyler and Jessica both pleaded not guilty, claiming I'd given Tyler permission for everything, that I'd been confused and forgetful. They tried to paint me as the senile uncle who didn't understand modern business practices. It fell apart in court. Sharon's documentation was bulletproof. The emails where Tyler mocked me, called me weak, planned my destruction. The shell companies, the stolen money. Video evidence of them loading client files into their car. Testimony from clients Tyler had lied to about my mental state. The judge wasn't sympathetic. Tyler got 6 years. Jessica got 4. Full restitution ordered, though I knew I'd never see most of the money. It was gone, spent on their lifestyle, their plans, their dreams of becoming wealthy on my back. My sister's son, the boy I'd raised after his father left. The young man I'd taught to swing a hammer, to read blueprints, to understand that reputation in this business meant everything. I attended every day of the trial. Tyler never looked at me. Not once. The day after sentencing, Tyler's father called. Michael, my former brother-in-law, the man who'd abandoned Patricia and Tyler 20 years ago. I hadn't heard from him since Patricia's funeral. Robert, you can't do this to Tyler. He's your nephew. He's family. I almost laughed. Where were you when Patricia was dying? Where were you when Tyler needed a father? I raised that boy. I gave him everything. He made a mistake. People make mistakes. You're going to let him rot in prison? Patricia would be ashamed of you. Something cold settled in my chest. Patricia would be ashamed that her son became a thief and a liar, that he tried to destroy the man who raised him. Don't call me again, Michael. You're a vindictive old bastard. Tyler was right about you. Tyler's in prison because of choices he made. Actions have consequences. He learned that lesson too late. I hung up. Michael didn't call back, but Jessica's mother did. 3 days later, standing in my office, begging me to drop the charges against her daughter. Jessica was just following Tyler's lead. She didn't know what she was doing. She's young, she was manipulated. Please, Robert, show some mercy. Jessica was the CFO of Horizon Builders. She helped Tyler create the shell companies. She signed off on every fraudulent payment. She knew exactly what she was doing. She has a daughter, Tyler's daughter, your great niece. Are you going to let that little girl grow up without her mother? I'd forgotten about Mia. 4 years old, Tyler's daughter, from his first marriage. I'd been at her birthday party 6 months ago, watching her blow out candles, unaware her father was planning to destroy me. Mia's mother has full custody. Jessica had visitation rights. That's between them and family court, not me. You're heartless. How can you do this to your own family? They did this to themselves. My voice was tired. I would have given Tyler anything. Anything. He could have asked for help, for money, for opportunities. I would have helped him build his own company. Instead, he chose to betray me, to steal from me, to try to destroy everything I built. And you want me to show mercy? She left in tears. I felt nothing. The company recovered. Sharon had caught the theft early enough that we weren't in real financial danger. Our reputation took a hit when news broke, but most of our clients understood. Some even admitted Tyler had approached them with lies about my competence. They'd chosen to stay with McLeod because they trusted my work, not Tyler's manipulations. I promoted Sharon to CFO. She deserved it. She'd saved my company and probably my life. Tyler's plan had been to drain my accounts, bankrupt the company, and possibly have me declared incompetent. I could have ended up in a care facility, penniless, while Tyler built his empire on my foundation. 6 months after the trial, I was in my office late one evening when David called. Tyler's asking to see you. From prison. Says he wants to apologize. No. Robert, maybe you should hear him out. Get closure. There's nothing he can say that I need to hear. He made his choices. I made mine. He's your nephew. He was my nephew. Now he's just a man who tried to destroy me. Tell him no. David sighed. All right. I'll let his lawyer know. I hung up and looked around my office. Photos on the wall. 35 years of projects. Buildings I'd constructed, renovations I'd managed, communities I'd helped build. This was my legacy. Not Tyler. Not some dream of passing the company to family. Martha came by that evening with dinner. My wife of 40 years, the one person who'd stood by me through everything. She'd been devastated when Tyler's betrayal came to light. She'd loved him like a son. David called. I told her as we ate, Tyler wants to see me. Are you going? No. She nodded slowly. Do you think he's really sorry? Or does he just want something? I think Tyler's sorry he got caught. That's all. That's sad, Robert. That he threw everything away for money. We would have helped him if he'd asked. I know. But he didn't want help. He wanted what I built. Wanted to take it, not earn it. Martha squeezed my hand. At least you caught it in time. Imagine if Sharon hadn't noticed. I'd thought about that a lot. If Sharon had been less diligent, if Tyler had been more patient, he might have succeeded. Drained my accounts, destroyed my reputation, taken my company, I'd be in a nursing home somewhere, declared incompetent, while Tyler prospered. I was lucky, I admitted. Lucky to have Sharon, lucky to have David, lucky that Tyler got greedy and moved too fast. Lucky that you're not as senile and weak as he thought you were. Martha smiled slightly. When you acted confused in those meetings, even I almost believed you. 40 years married, and you still think I'm a terrible actor? The worst. But it worked. We finished dinner in comfortable silence. Outside, Toronto's lights flickered through the evening darkness. I thought about Tyler in his prison cell, about Jessica and her daughter, about Michael's angry call, and Jessica's mother begging for mercy. I felt no satisfaction in their downfall, no triumph, just a hollow grief for what could have been. If Tyler had been honest, if he'd valued family over money, we could have built something together. Instead, he destroyed our relationship and his own future for $1.7 million. Money he'd already spent, money he'd never see again. 1 year later, McLeod Construction celebrated our 40th anniversary. We'd not only recovered from Tyler's theft, but grown. New contracts, new projects, a reputation for integrity that Tyler's actions had, ironically, strengthened. The business community respected how I'd handled it. No cover-up, no protecting family at the expense of ethics. Just clean, decisive action. It sent a message. McLeod Construction couldn't be bought, manipulated, or destroyed. Sharon was in my office that day, going over the quarterly reports. We're up 30% from this time last year. The new housing development alone is worth $4 million. $4 million, I laughed bitterly. That's what Bennett was going to pay for the entire company in Tyler's merger. They thought they were getting a desperate seller. Tyler had convinced them you were financially struggling and mentally declining. They were expecting a fire sale. Instead, they got arrested for attempted fraud by deception. Did you hear Morrison lost his job over that? Good. He knew something was wrong. He chose to exploit it. Sharon closed her laptop. Robert, can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever regret turning Tyler in? He was family. You could have just fired him, recovered the money privately. But you chose to prosecute. I considered the question. It was one I'd asked myself 100 times in the dark hours of the morning. If I'd let it go, Tyler would have learned he could betray people and get away with it. Jessica would have learned the same lesson. And somewhere down the line, they'd do it again to someone else. Maybe someone without the resources to fight back. So it was about teaching them a lesson? It was about consequences. Tyler spent his whole life thinking he could charm his way out of anything. His father abandoned him, so I stepped in and gave him everything he wanted. School, job, partnership. He never had to work for anything. He never learned that actions have consequences. Do you think he's learned now? I think he's learned prison is unpleasant. Whether he's learned why he's there, I doubt it. Men like Tyler never really accept responsibility. In his mind, I'm the villain. I betrayed him by not letting him destroy me. Sharon stood to leave, then paused at the door. For what it's worth, I think Patricia would be proud of you. You did the right thing. Patricia would be heartbroken her son turned into a thief. But yes, she'd understand why I did what I did. I looked at the photos on my wall again. She'd understand you can't build anything lasting on lies and theft. After Sharon left, I sat alone in my office as evening settled over Toronto. Somewhere across the city, Tyler was in prison. Jessica was on probation, her accounting credentials revoked, working as a cashier at a grocery store. Michael hadn't called again. Jessica's mother had moved away. My family had imploded. Not because I was cruel or vindictive, but because Tyler had made choices that led inevitably to consequences. I'd simply refused to protect him from the outcome of his own actions. Martha and I talked about adoption sometimes. We were too old now, but we thought about mentoring, about supporting young people who needed guidance. Maybe someone who understood the value of hard work and honesty. Someone who wouldn't see my success as something to steal, but as something to learn from. McLeod Construction would continue. Eventually, I'd retire. Maybe I'd sell to a larger company, or to a management buyout from my current team. People who'd earned their positions, who valued integrity, not family. Not because I didn't value family, but because I'd learned the hard way that blood doesn't guarantee loyalty, that the people you raise and trust can betray you more deeply than any stranger. Tyler had one more year left on his sentence when I got the final piece of information I needed. His prison counselor called, asking if I'd be willing to participate in Tyler's rehabilitation program. A letter of support might help with parole. Has he taken responsibility for what he did? I asked. There was a long pause. He acknowledges his actions, but he maintains you overreacted, that what he did wasn't as serious as the courts made it seem. Then no, I won't help with parole. Mr. McLeod, everyone deserves a second chance. Tyler's second chance starts after he serves his sentence, after he accepts full responsibility for trying to destroy me. Until then, he can sit in that cell and think about choices. The counselor tried to argue. I hung up. I never saw Tyler again. When he got out of prison, he moved to Vancouver. I heard through old contacts that he was working construction again. Entry level. His construction certifications had been revoked. He'd have to start over, just like I had 40 years ago with one truck and a dream. The difference was, I'd built my success honestly. Tyler would always be known as the man who betrayed his uncle, who stole from family, who chose money over everything else. That reputation would follow him forever. Sometimes, late at night, I wondered what would have happened if Sharon hadn't caught him. If Tyler had succeeded in his plan, would he have felt guilty, watching me lose everything? Or would he have justified it, told himself I was too old anyway, that he deserved it more? I'd never know. And honestly, I didn't want to. What I knew was this. Family is important, but family doesn't mean accepting abuse. Doesn't mean letting people destroy you because you share blood. Love without boundaries isn't love. It's enabling. Tyler taught me that. It was an expensive lesson. $1.7 million, plus the cost of legal fees and emotional devastation. But it was a lesson I'd never forget. And maybe, someday, Tyler would learn it too. Maybe he'd wake up in his Vancouver apartment, look at his life of manual labor and lost opportunities, and understand what he threw away. Understand that the path to success isn't through betrayal and theft, but through hard work and integrity. Maybe, but probably not. Some people never learn. Some people always see themselves as victims, never as the architects of their own downfall. Tyler was probably one of those people. In his mind, I was the cruel uncle who destroyed his dreams, not the man he tried to rob and destroy. I made peace with that. Made peace with the fact that my nephew hated me, that our family was shattered beyond repair, that the boy I'd raised and loved had chosen money over everything else. Because at the end of the day, I could look in the mirror and know I'd done the right thing. I'd protected my company, my employees, my legacy. I'd refused to be a victim. I'd chosen justice over sentiment. And if that made me heartless in Tyler's eyes, so be it. I'd rather be heartless than destroyed. Martha disagreed. You have the biggest heart of anyone I know, she told me. That's why Tyler's betrayal hurt so much. You loved him like a son. She was right. I had. And maybe I still did, in some broken, distant way. You can't just turn off 40 years of caring. But love doesn't mean being a doormat. Doesn't mean letting people steal from you, lie to you, destroy you. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let people face the consequences of their choices, even when it breaks your heart, especially when it breaks your heart. McLeod Construction celebrated its 45th anniversary last year. I'm 68 now, thinking about retirement. The company's worth $15 million. We employ 200 people. We've built schools, hospitals, homes across Ontario. Tyler's out of prison. I heard he's managing a crew now, working his way back up. Good for him. I hope he's learned something. But I don't reach out. Don't send Christmas cards. Don't check in. That part of my life is over. He made his choice. I made mine. And now we both live with the consequences. Sometimes I see young men who remind me of Tyler. Ambitious, hungry, eager to prove themselves. I give them opportunities, mentor them, teach them what I know, but I also teach them about integrity, about earning trust, about understanding that success built on lies and theft is no success at all. The true measure of a person isn't what they do when everyone's watching. It's what they do when they think no one will ever find out. Tyler thought no one would find out. He was wrong, and that made all the difference.